Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have an exciting special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Cynthia Brasil, and I'm from Brazil. No, I didn't change my name. It's a real name.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, enjoying the cold weather.
I know. Well, I'm in LA. Where do you live?
Virginia.
You're okay. I'm gonna sound terrible right now because I'm complaining about the LA weather, but I am Brazilian. So for me, like any type of like cold weather, I'm like shivering and I get so sad. But for me, it's really cold outside right now too.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into comedy.
Well, I've been a clown ever since I can remember. I am the fifth of five in Brazil. I'm the baby in the family, but we're all clowns. We used to bully each other for sport, basically. That's a thing in Brazil, you know. But I've always wanted to be an actress. I was a dancer growing up. I come from a musical family, so everyone sings. I've been an actress for like 11 years, but being an actress here in LA, it's very difficult because it doesn't matter how talented or I don't know how you are, good looking you are. If you don't know the right people, it's hard because you don't even get the opportunity to audition for certain roles. So through the adversity of acting, I actually, I gave it a shot for comedy. And it's funny because the idea started after COVID because during COVID, since I had nothing to do, I would go on TikTok and I didn't even know there were comedians that would do the set and people would just imitate them, right? And I did one of those videos, and my mom, like Latin moms are so honest, it hurts your uterus, you know? So I posted, it's the truth. I posted a video, and my mom's like, Cynthia, that voice is ridiculous. I'm like, Mom, it's not my voice. She's like, I know. Why don't you do it your voice? I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I was so overwhelmed with the idea, right? But then it stuck in my head and I'm like, okay, let me have a look. And I started doing like a whole research of like comedians on TikTok and on Netflix. And I swear to God, just the thought of being on stage was scarier than being trapped in a cage with white sharks in the sea. I swear, I was terrified. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep watching. So for a whole year, I was just watching it, and just the thought of it was like, ugh. So after a year, I'm like, okay, I gotta give it a try, and I did. And the first time, I didn't die. The second time, I didn't die, and then I fell in love with it.
Yeah, comedy is a unique thing to do because it can go one of two ways. Most of the time you're going to make somebody happy, but it's hard to make an entire room, laugh.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because we all see life through a different lens as well, right? My mom talks to me about this all the time because my mom is very, very religious, very conservative, and I talk a lot of shit, So my mom is always like, Cynthia, you shouldn't curse because then you can please everyone. And I'm like, Mom, Jesus didn't please everyone. I'm not gonna be the first.
Yeah, and I think that comedy is just as hard as trying to be an actor because you've got to come up with your own material. You've got to memorize it, and then you gotta be able to deliver it the right way too.
Yeah, yeah. I think comedy is harder. And well, okay, so here's the thing. The beauty of comedy that I don't get in acting is the autonomy for where my professional life is headed, right? So like for example, I've only been doing comedy for a little over a year and I've performed 5 places in Australia, 4 places in Montreal. I performed California, Nevada, the Comedy Store in LA and San Diego. But because I'm very stubborn, I when I put something in my head, I keep going. And this whole year, it was sweat and tears, but like I was on stage every single night. I did everything I could. So yes, comedy is harder because you have to write, you have to perform, you have to edit, and you don't get a second take, right? It's right there. But you get the chance to practice your craft where you don't get in acting. Like, what are you gonna do? Go on Hollywood Boulevard and say, "Hey, look at me, jazz hands." You
Right.
can't do that. Yeah.
So as far as trying to become an actress and then jumping into comedy, did you have anybody that you looked up to when you started wanting to become an actor? And then same thing in when jumping into the comedy scene as well.
Well, actually, it's basically the same three people: Jim Carrey, Robbie Williams, Eddie Murphy. I absolutely love them as actors and comedians. So if you get to choose, like for me, I like the happy, crazy comedian, not the comic, because the comic is kind of like the whole world is crazy, but I'm okay. No, I'm part of the craziness. So I'm more into like happy comedy vibes.
Yeah, and see, I love all of them too. You know, we lost Robin Williams way too early.
I know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Absolutely. And Matthew Perry, like it was just
Yeah.
tragedy. I'm a huge Friends fan. Yeah, Friends and another one that's like for acting. Absolutely love that show.
You know, I think that when you look at, you know, like Eddie Murphy and, um, uh, you know, and Robin Williams and these other comedians that were huge, you don't really see the backstory. You know, I know they did that couple of docu series on Robin Williams after the fact, and we learned things we didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that for me is why I think it's a difficult thing because the funniest people are often the people that have uh, not so much dark past, but they have things going on that you know it's not making them happy that they want to make other people happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was watching. This was before Matthew Perry passed away. I think it was the Friends reunion. He talks about this too. He used to say that sometimes, because they would do like a one rehearsal and then the show, right? And he said that sometimes on the rehearsal he would crush it. He would just like get the best laughs. But then when they were shooting, he wouldn't get that, and that used to like destroy him inside. You know, and unfortunately, I don't know if it's true or not, but the rumors is that they really love cocaine. Robbie Williams even says that cocaine is a sign from God saying that you're making too much money.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you
Yeah,
know, I think that show business in general, you know, I think that you've taken that leap of faith and going after your dream is something most people don't do, and it takes tremendous amount of courage to do that.
yeah, absolutely. Especially I think comedy, because you're writing everything. Like if you're playing a character as an actor, you can always say no. That's the character. If the character is mean or malicious or whatever it is, no, that's the character. No, comedy, you wrote it. So if they're gonna judge you, they're
Yeah.
gonna judge all of you.
So
That's for
when you're
sure.
coming up with right, yeah, when you're coming up with material, are you like most comedians where it's part of some of your daily experiences goes into that?
I'm a weird comic. I will, because like, here's the thing. Let me explain to you what happened to me. I I was forced to be Jehovah Witness until I was 18 years old. So we used to go to church 3 times a week, and twice a week was like about like 3 hours and a half, right? It's a whole Lord of the Rings movie, and so this was like ever since I was born. So like I spent so many hours of my life listening and reading and interpreting the Bible, right? And the Bible stories. So I joke a lot about like that too. So that religion is really, really strong in my comedy because it's what it was imprinted in my head, right? I talk about the difference between living in America and in Brazil as well. But I talk about literally everything. I talk about drug use. I talk about Harry Potter. I talk about how Latin women will never share their men. We would never have a threesome. We would never like, like, so I talk about sexuality, but not in a like, ooh, I'm so sexy. Cause I don't see myself as that. And I think that's so cheesy. But I talk about sex, but in like a very comic way, saying that you don't mess with Latin women. So I literally talk about everything.
And see, that's really cool because you're so diverse when it comes to that, that you're not afraid to touch any subject and kind of poke the bear, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, the bear has poked me my whole life. I was obligated to be religious, so I get to poke a little bit of the bear, no?
Yeah, exactly. So what is it about comedy and acting that you just absolutely love? What drives that passion for you?
Man, like it's a little hard to explain because it's just a feeling. Like ever since I can remember, I wanted to be in movies, and I have like people in Brazil, like people that are friends with my mom, and they would babysit me, or like my family members saying, "Do you remember when you were like 4 years old? You would say, 'Oh, I'm gonna be an actress in Hollywood.'" I'm like, "I don't remember that," and they're like, "Yeah, you've always said it." And I would always start doing it. I could do impressions of everyone in my family, and I would do that to like random people. I was seeing it was just something that I don't know, came from, it sounds so cliche, but it came from my heart and my soul. And I've tried to deny it. Like I graduated in computer science in Sao Paulo before I moved here. I've tried to follow the right path that society and tells you of, like, financial stability. I've done all of that. And I don't know, man. Like, again, it's going to sound so cliche, but I felt like my soul was dying. I was like, all of this for what? Yes, I'm going to make good money, but I'm also going to buy a lot of things that I don't need to fill the void that I have in my soul.
Yeah, and I can understand that being able to do what you love to do, what you have that burning passion for. It's something that most people don't get to do. And when you get the opportunity to do it, take the ball and run with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every little thing, even if it's an open mic, man, every time that I get to go on stage, it's a blessing. And I think it's funny, right? Like when you're going through the struggle, and this is like any area of your life, you and you don't see the light, you're just like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Even like, especially like with acting, I was doing everything that I could on my side, and I'm like, why? But now overcoming that lack that I couldn't practice my craft, and now having comedy, I do understand that I had to go through all the struggle. So I would just be like, so I would have the courage to go on stage because I never thought in a million years that I would have been able to. So now I look back and I'm like, okay, now I know why I've been through all of this, and now I get to create my own thing. And like, I just graduated at a UCB writing for Sketch Comedy 101, and I'm gonna enroll
Wow.
for the 201 because I love writing. Like, what I tell people is like, it's so hard to write for stand up, so hard, because you creating an imaginary character, like, doesn't like it doesn't really matter as much as stand up because you're not people are not going to judge that character. People are definitely going to judge you depending on what you say because you're writing for yourself. Sometimes you write a sketch or like a story and people don't even know who you are because you're the writer, right? So that I feel like that's a very safe place to be. So I when I did the course and I was writing, it was so much easier for me. So my goal is SNL, and I'm trying my hardest to get an audition in July. So that's why I'm going to go back to school, and now all my energy it's just to better my stand up, create characters that I do impressions of, because that's the ultimate goal.
And that was what I was going to ask you: if SNL was the ultimate end game for you in the comedy scene, because it seems like that's where everybody wants to be. And a lot of the biggest named actors that I can think of have come out of there. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. Uh, oh gosh, there's so
Will
many. Of course, Eddie
Ferrell. Will
Murphy.
Ferrell is.
Yeah,
Mwah.
there's
I
just
love
there's
him.
just so many that
Yeah,
you know the golden times for me for SNL was '90s, because you had Chris Farley, Chris Rock, David Spade, Adam Sandler, and look at the majority of them people now. I mean, they're huge.
exactly. So for me, I'm glad you mentioned Adam Sandler, because I come from a musical family. So my goal is to start writing parodies. I want to get the music involved within the comedy. And like the thing that I love about Adam Sandler too is the loyalty in his entourage. You can see that it's like always the same cast, and I did a lot of movies and like little shows here and there, but last year we did like a small sketch with just comedians. I didn't get paid. I did it as a favor, but I cannot tell you how much fun. It was so much fun, because here's the thing. I'm a little pest, and I'm always like joke, 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 joke. I'm a little gremlin on crack. So with most people, I gotta every time I think about something, inappropriate. No, I don't. But it was just comedians, and I had so much fun because we were just going one on top of each other, just like jokes, 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 and it's so comfortable. You feel like there's no judgment, and like we all speak the same language. So that's another goal that I have for sure, to be in movies and like with comedians and produce. I've been writing a lot. I produced my own show in my first year of comedy too, which was great. So I feel like I have so much energy and I have so much passion for this, that obviously one step at a time, but I don't see myself retiring. I just see myself when I'm much, much older being part of production and being part of writing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they all started like you are, just doing regular stand up, trying to be the best they can, and eventually you'll get noticed. And then when you do, it's on to the next step, and then forward down the road. Um, as far as doing the audition, have you looked into that and what it takes?
Yes, I did. I asked my agent, and he found out what I need to do. So basically, I have to do like impression of like three people known. They can be famous, they can be politicians and whatnot, and then three original characters. But also, I do stand up, and then you have to have your writing packet. I already have my writing packet because of the writing for sketch comedy at UCB, right? But now I'm gonna do the 201, and I'm gonna keep going until July. I'm not gonna stop studying. So you need a writing packet, and you need three characters that you create and people that are famous. So my idea is to do stand up, three characters known to everyone, and my writing packet.
That is so cool, and I can only imagine what the atmosphere is going to be like if you have to go audition in front of them, especially in front of Lorne Michaels.
So I've seen like interviews with Will Ferrell and Pete Davidson, and they say that's like three or five people. I'm not sure. And but when they go on stage, you can't see them, and they say that whenever they like say a joke, you can kind of hear like a chuckle, and but like nothing. So you're just like, fuck, like you don't know if they like you. And also that they said that they just shake their hand and they don't say like you did well, whatever. Oh, we're gonna, contact you. You're just like, oh, really?
Oh
It
yeah,
takes like.
talk about a buzzkill, so to speak.
Oh, but honestly, I am so ready for this. First, like I told you before, bullying in my family is our favorite sport. So I'm used to that. Second, acting. When you, I don't know, for everyone that doesn't know like how the acting process is, your agent submits you for a role. If the studios like you, then they send you the sides. Then you either go in person or you do a self tape, then they review it. Now, if they like you, they're going to reach out to you. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes months or even more. But sometimes, when they actually, most of the time, 90% of the time, when they don't book you, they don't let you know. So I have 11 years of like, so I'm kind of like used to that. So, and also, how about performing in open mics in LA where is 99% men? As a woman, you go on stage and they look at you like, oh, so you got tits and you want to be funny? What else do you want? Do you want equal pay too, bitch? So you're just like, oh my God. So I feel like performing in LA is a whole nother level. Like when I performed, I just performed in Vegas for the first time. Oh my God. It was a fresh of breath air. It was so, people were so kind. The audience was a happy audience. Like the places that I perform in LA, a lot of them are a lot of comedians, right? And they've been doing this for a long time. And it's so weird, man. I come from a place like my family is very warm and we're supportive. And like I've always been extremely supportive of people that I know or don't know. So when someone's performing, I give eye contact, I applaud, I laugh. I even if someone is terrible, I'm still looking just to because it's hard being on stage. But
Yeah.
LA is not like that. They don't reciprocate like that. It feels like they're saving their laughters for winter or whatever. Like they don't laugh, even if you're really, really funny. So that builds up a confidence in you, whether you like it or not, because it's like what you said, like going back to Robin Williams and going back to Matthew Perry. If you don't take care of yourself, you will get so depressed with comedy because when you bomb or when the set's not good or whatever it happens, it really messes with you, if you let it, if you take it personal.
Yeah. And I can only imagine going out and thinking you're gonna crush it. And then you get out there and it's dead silence.
Mom, mom, you
Yeah, exactly.
there?
And I couldn't imagine what that's like just because you see these people that do the comedy clubs like you're doing, and some of them you find on YouTube or Instagram, and you just go, my God, they're funny. But then you listen to the crowd sometimes, and you're like, what's wrong with these people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And
You
like,
know, that's nerve wracking. It's got to
oh,
be.
it's super nerve wracking. But the thing is, because I feel like my family prepared me that we made fun of ourselves. So anytime I would go to school and someone would try to bully me, I'm like, oh, try your best because my family built me for like, I make fun of myself first. So for you to hurt me is really hard. Like for me, it's more like if you talk shit about someone that can defend themselves, like my friend, or like talk shit about my mom, then I will get mad. With me, I don't. But a lot of comedians, they lose their shit. They're like, what the fuck? You guys come to a comedy club and you don't fucking want to laugh. And I feel like that's the worst possible thing that you can do. Because, yes, it would be nice if everyone would laugh. But the thing is, nobody's obligated to laugh at your jokes? And the more you try to push it, the more people are going to be like, are you, like, what's wrong with you? So to me, my tactic's like, oh, I'm so funny. Oh, I'm killing it, and you get a laugh from it because like you're kind of saying like I suck, and then they laugh with you. So there's a tiny possibility that you get there, you get them back to you. But if you just lose your shit, then that's it. You know.
Yeah, you just got to, find a way to engage with the audience, however that must be.
Yeah. In every state is different, or every or even in LA, every audience is different. You know, like you may say jokes like if I'm amongst Latin people, they're gonna get it, or there's some jokes that white people are gonna get better. You know, and within those, uh, 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 um, it's not nationality as much, but within those races, some of them might get offended. So it's like it's a Russian roulette, man. You know, and I feel like it's only through practice that that you're gonna be able to just be smoother about the delivery. You know, because I feel like it's a lot in the writing and a lot in the performance as well. You know, the tonation that you use, because I wouldn't ever want to offend anyone. My whole thing is to make people happier, not make them
Right.
sad. You know, so but it's a learning process. Yeah.
Yeah. And, at one point I wanted to be a comedian when I was a lot younger. And of course, the only people that thought I was funny were my family. So it didn't go very far,
That's
but
no, it's a good start.
it is. Yeah. And, I admire people like yourself that are putting your nose to the grind and just go, 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 go. And there's no quit in what you're doing.
But I will tell you what. I will tell you what. The first year, the first few times, because there were sets that I would go, like I remember I did the set at the Haha, and I killed it. Oh my god! It just you feel like you're flying. It was amazing. But then I did the same set in another club, and I got a few laughs here and there, but it wasn't a tenth of what I got from the other comedy place. And I cried. I've cried many times for the first year. But the good thing is, I feel like this you can use this advice on anything that you do in your life. What made me understand the process and not take it personable was to talk to a lot of comedians that are doing this for a longer time than me. I would go to workshops, right? So one thing that I think my dad is what he used to say: never stop studying. So I would go to free workshops, even though I was already performing. I don't have an ego in that sense. The more I can learn, the better for me. If someone even is doing comedy for less than I am, and they have good advice, I will always take. And within those areas, I heard so many times people being, thank God, being genuine enough and being honest enough to say, listen, when you go on stage and you do very badly, you are gonna feel like shit. You are gonna, and they were just saying exactly how I felt. And they're like, listen, go to the next stage if you can that same night or the next day. Because if you don't, this is gonna consume you day and night when you're in the shower, when you're sleeping. So I feel like that's then you look at it and you're like, oh my god, we're all the same. You know, we all have those insecurities. This is not me. This is the process. You know, so it's just like when if you're married and you're talking to another married couple and you're like, oh, my wife does this, and he's like, man, my wife does the same. Then this becomes a joke, and this becomes a therapeutic moment instead of you leaving that feeling inside you and that becoming a tumor. So that's what I feel like we need. We need a healthy community, right? And I've been trying to create that ever since I started. A lot of my friends have been reaching out that they want to do it. I take them to open mics. I help them out. I help them get booked, because this can be a very, very lonely and if you have a good entourage, like Adam Sandler, it's fun. It's good. Even if you cry together. Maybe you have a fucking drink and you talk shit and then you let it out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I am curious as far as being doing the stand up. it would eventually you would want to maybe do a tour and just do clubs and stuff like that across the country.
Absolutely.
That would be fun.
Oh, so fun. So fun. I'm already visualizing this, that this year is goal practice for SNL, but meanwhile, like that's why I went to Nevada, and I want to go to Arizona. I want to go to New York. I want to take a lot of states this year, and I will get that done for sure. Even if it's on my own, I don't know how, when, but it's gonna come. And like I'm just like networking a lot, reaching out to a lot of people, going to a lot of comedy clubs because this is part of the journey that most people just want to write and perform, right? But like I believe when you're just saying whatever it's in your head, you're not learning anything. So I keep on going to a lot of shows. I keep on watching a lot of comedy, even if it's 30 Rock, SNL, um, comedy shows or interviews. Like I love Kevin Hart and I love his show that's called Heart to Heart because he talks to a lot of comedians or comedic actors or even like musicians. But, they talk about the journey. So I feel like there's a whole process. You need to perform, you need to watch them, you need to feed your mind with positivity. I believe in health a lot too. So I take good care of myself because like if I don't, then I'm going to feel depressed. And if I feel depressed, then comedy's not going to be good for me, you know? Because then you can start drinking too much, you can reach out for drugs, and I want longevity. And I can only achieve longevity if I'm taking care of myself.
Exactly. And I totally agree with everything you were just saying as far as the journey, because it's not the destination, it's the journey to get there is the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's comedy. I mean, like, if you're, I don't get it, man. Not to be judgmental or anything, but like, this is supposed to be fun. Nobody puts a gun on your head and say you should be a comic. Nobody ever. Maybe the opposite. Parents are like, you shouldn't, but acting and comedy, it should be something that you love. Now, why people get so frustrated is because you need a foundation. Like, for example, you need a financial foundation. You can't be creative when you can't pay your bills, So you have to be organized in that sense. So your creativity can flourish because you're not worried about money or anything else or your health or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as things you have coming up, do you have any bookings coming up?
So I'm performing this Tuesday at the Dime. I usually perform every Tuesday over there. The bookings, thank God, after the first year of comedy, which I was reaching out to everyone like, to perform. Thank God now people reach out to me. So every week I perform. I try to go to different open mics. I'm coming up with a new idea of like a little YouTube show. Like it's kind of like I don't want to spoil everything, but it's kind of like drinking with comedians, and I'm kind of like gonna host it. There's gonna be some different stuff going on, but I'm like creating as much as I can, sketches and all that stuff. That's about it. And things are like last minute. I get booked last minute, and anytime I'm like I'm available. Let's go.
Yeah, I love that you have such a great outlook on life and a great outlook on what you love doing in comedy and writing and trying to broaden your horizons and learning new things, because that's the only way you're going to get better is by grinding, learning new things, and just go for it. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't, you know?
Thank you. I really appreciate you. I mean, what I think it's like, if not now, when? You know?
Exactly. And it's only a matter of time before somebody comes along and goes, you're the next superstar. Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's
So, as
go.
far as social media, where can our listeners find you, and where can they see some of the sketches and stuff that you do on stage?
Sure. It's mainly on my Instagram. I post some of my stuff on Facebook. Facebook is censored. So the ones that I post on Facebook, I covered the cursing. So if you don't like the cursing, then find me on Facebook, Cynthia Brasil. But if you do like the cursing, if you're naughty, then you go on my Instagram. It's Cynthia Brasil. So CINTHYN A, because my mom couldn't spell. Instead of Y is I, so CINTHYA. Brazil with an S, because everything comes with an S in Brazil. I'm kidding. Brazil with an S and double L. So you can find my sketches and my stand up and all that stuff.
Excellent. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to chat with me. I definitely would love to have you on again. This has been a lot of
Absolutely.
fun.
Absolutely. Josh, you are a delight. Thank you so much for having me. And have an amazing weekend. I hope you don't quit on comedy. I hope one day you go on stage and you do your stuff.
I'll definitely try to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes.
I'm putting the seed. Let's see.
Right? Well, I hope you have a good rest of the afternoon, a good weekend yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm on my way to the comedy store and watch a show over there.
Well, good luck. I hope it goes well.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys have an amazing night. Mwah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Down, down.